welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be reacting to the 2025 Goodreads Choice Awards. If you missed my video from like 2-3 weeks ago, I tried to predict the nominees for the fantasy section only. So I'd like to now react to what has been nominated and see what's going on. I'm going to react to all of the categories. I don't know how many categories there are, but I'm going to go through all of them. But for this beginning part, we're just going to see if I was close in my prediction and see what was nominated that I guessed, what wasn't. And before we get into that, I do want to say in that last video, I somehow completely forgot that Winds and Truth came out within the voting period. I even talked about it in that goddamn video. Like, I brought it up. Like, I'm pretty sure there was a part where I was talking about the cutoff window, and I was talking about how Rhythm of War, I think, got published like the day that the voting opened. But at first I said, no, it was Winds and Truth. And then I was like, oh no, it's actually Rhythm of War. So I brought up that goddamn book. I had it in my mind, but for some reason it did not click with me that it had been published within that window. I don't know how I forgot. I looked up the book too. That's how I figured out that it was Rhythm of War that got published during the publishing window. So I saw the publishing date. I saw it and still didn't click at all. So I'm still annoyed with myself. So with my breakdown, the guesses that I had, I'll put them up. Where do I want to put them? I don't know. I'll put them up somewhere on the screen, either on this side or this side. This is what I guessed. I did guess a Brandon Sanderson for the first one. I put Isle of Emberdark, but just pretend that is Winds and Truth, because let's be honest, Winds and Truth is probably winning. I feel like, I really don't remember, but I feel like Rhythm of War won the year it was nominated, and like, it's Brandon Sanderson. He is one of the most popular fantasy writers, so he for sure has to be nominated, and I'm 100% guessing he probably wins. But let's get started and let's look into who has been nominated. And I know there's been, some controversy. People are very upset with who's been nominated and who got left out, which I feel like it's like that every year. For those of you that don't know, the Goodreads Choice Award is very much a popularity contest. It's really based on sales and like who's popular, and that's really it. It's not based on like what's the actual best book, or it's not like the ratings really have nothing to do with it. The only rating comes into play is if it has at least a 3.5 rating on Goodreads, and that's it. So just know the Goodreads Awards is very much a popularity contest, and that's it. It's pretty much for publishers and for like sales, and Goodreads knows that because they're owned by Amazon. So let's get into this and let's look into our 2025 Goodreads Choice Awards nominees. All right, I want to start in fantasy. I can already see two that I very much didn't guess. All right, let's start at the top before I go down. All right, we have The Incandescent by Emily Tesh. I definitely didn't guess that. I do remember it coming out this year, but that's not a book that's been on my radar at all. R.F. Kuang, Catabasis, we knew that was going to be there. Had to. Drop of Corruption, knew that was there. The River Has Roots. I'm going to be honest, I didn't know that was fantasy. I did not know that was fantasy. I thought it was like a general literary fiction, mostly just because the cover, I feel like it really gives like general literary fiction. Also, before we get for this, I do know some of them that have already been nominated because Tor made a post on Instagram about all of their nominees, all of their books that got nominated, and they have like almost half. I think they had like eight or 10 that got nominated. So I did see that list. So I'm annoyed about that because I was trying to remain surprised. The list has been out for a couple days now, but everybody and their mother's trying to make sure I was seeing this early. All right, the next line, which is here's the thing. I talked about Thief of Night. I was like, Thief of Night's definitely not making it because Book of Night didn't make it. And Book of Night, in my opinion, is better. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe more people like Thief of Night. I don't understand why, but Thief of Night made it. And you know what? Good for Thief of Night. Book of Night got robbed because Book of Night is better, but good for Thief of Night. That's one that I was like, definitely not happening, no. But like, I know Holly Black's a popular author, but like, the first book didn't make it, so why does the second book make it? Make it make sense. I don't know. Hemlock and Silver, I'm pretty sure I guessed. I did guess Hemlock and Silver. I did guess Brigands and Bread Knives, and I did also guess The Devils. So we're doing decent. How many of this list? I guessed 5 out of the 8. So percentage-wise, I'm doing pretty well so far. All right, I have up my list, and I can remember everything that I picked. But I don't think I'm doing too bad. All right, let's go down to our next set, Winds and Truth. Winds and Truth, obviously there. We knew that was going to happen. So like I said, ignore Isle of Emberdark. That's Winds and Truth. So I'm still like, I'm not going to count it for me getting it right, but it's still there. The Society of Unknowable Objects. I'm going to be honest, I didn't even know about this book until like a month or two ago. So it definitely was not on my radar for something to put down. I know this is the author for the Book of Doors. And I do have this book on Libro FM. I got it through their ALC program. So I have that downloaded. So I might read it. I don't know. I DNF the Book of Doors, but that may be one maybe I need to reread. I was really bored with it. So I don't know if it'll get better. And I've heard literally nothing about the Society of Unknowable Objects. Like I said, I didn't know about it until I got it through the ALC program. But I've heard anyone talk about it. I've heard a few people talk about Book of Doors, but this one I literally know nothing about. And then Red City and the Strength of the Few. We knew those were going to be here. Red City, Marie Lou's a very popular author, so I had a feeling she would be a part of this. And The Strength of the Few. The Will of the Many was so popular when it came out. The Strength of the Few had to be on here. So far in this list, the only one I've read is Thief of Night, and I'm not voting for Thief of Night. I refuse. I'm not going to vote if I haven't read any of them, and I still haven't read Catabasis. I haven't read any of these other ones, and voting closes the 23rd. So like if I pick one and I start now, I could probably vote for that, but I don't for damn sure I'm not voting for Thief of Night. I'd rather not vote at all. I hate Thief of Night that much. I'm not voting for it. All right, our next 4, Alchemy of Secrets. This is another one that wasn't on my radar at all. It's by Stephanie Garber, who's the author of was it Caraval and Once Upon a Broken Heart? I very much dislike both of those series. Don't plan to read Stephanie Garber ever again. And also I didn't know that this was adult. So she's in here. King of Sorrow, we guessed. We knew that was going to be there. The Raven Scholars there. Woohoo! And then The Everlasting. I guessed The Everlasting. Yeah, I did. Okay. So I guessed all of these 3. Wait, how are we at now? How many have I guessed correctly? Let me go back and check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of 4, 8, 12, 16. So it's not bad. We're still more than 50%. Go me. Trash can came by and was really ruining the background of my video. Anyways, our next 4, we have, our last 4. Okay, Burial Bones in the Midnight Soil, which I did guess. Water Moon. This was one that I was like, maybe could be there, but I wasn't sure. And then I have no idea what these last 2 are. All right, Burial Bones, we knew was going to be there. How many? 16, 20, 11. 11 of 20? Is that how many I got right? That's not. Okay, I may need to recount that. Give me a sec. My math may be off on that one. But anyways, Burial Bones, I guess. Water Moon, I have heard of that one. I think that was decently popular when it came out. I had a little bit of buzz, but I haven't really heard anything since. Resistance of Witches, I have no idea. I literally have not heard of this book. Neither of these books was going to be on my radar. I literally, before right now, I genuinely had not heard of any of these. So that's that. Let's go back to the top. I'm going to count how many did I get right. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I guess 11, that's more than 50%. I'm proud of that. Okay. It could have been worse. What didn't make it from my list? Let's compare and contrast. So I already stated I knew that the first one was going to be there. Isle of the Emberdark and Wisdom Truth. We knew that was going to be there. To Clutch a Razor didn't make it. That's robbery. Highway fucking robbery. To Clutch a Razor was so good. To Clutch a Razor was better than Thief of Night. Let me calm down. Let me calm down. To Clutch a Razor, that's actually such bullshit. I'm actually so annoyed by that. The fact that Thief of Night made it and not To Clutch a Razor. That's bullshit. Veronica Roth was robbed. And then what's next? All right, I guessed. Oh, Among the Burning Flowers. Honestly, I'm surprised that didn't make it. I feel like Samantha Shannon's a very popular author as well, and I feel like this is probably a decently hyped release that people wanted. Am I wrong? Did that not come out yet? Maybe I'm incorrect, but I feel like that one should have made it. I got the rest. The Raven Scholar. Adrift in Currents, Clear and Clear. That one didn't make it. Shauna Maguire didn't make it. That one's shocking. Actually, I didn't get the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I didn't get the last 6 at all. So Adrift in Currents, Clean and Clear. I'm saying that 10 times fast. Damn, that's hard. And then I didn't get Empire of the Dawn by Jay Kristoff, which another surprising one. I feel like that series is pretty popular. The book that held her heart. I guess I'm not super surprised now. I feel like I was kind of, wishy-washy on whether that would make it. The Enchanted Greenhouse. I feel like the first book that this author wrote made it into Goodreads Choice Words. Maybe I'm wrong. And then The Second Death of Locke. I think that one might be romantasy. I may be incorrect, but I feel like that was fantasy. Maybe it was romantasy. Maybe I'm incorrect. I feel like that one might be in romantasy. I don't super remember. And obviously these Goodreads shelving is really just what people shelve it as and not what it actually is. So I don't know. And then The Gifted and the Talented also didn't make it, which I'm not super surprised about that. That does not have good ratings. I just figured Olivia Blake is like a pretty popular author, so she'd probably make it. But that's what we've got. All right, I'll put it up on the screen. Let me shift over. This is what I guessed. This is what I got correct. And then this is what the full list is with everything in it, with everything that I missed. Little disappointed. I am disappointed like other people. To be honest, some of these I'm like, these beat out. I mean, I don't know. But like the Resistance of Wishes, I mean, it's got good ratings. They both do. Well, 3.73. This beat out To Clutch a Razor. I know nothing about it. So like I'm not talking shit on the book, but like To Clutch a Razor. Veronica Roth is a very popular author. You cannot tell me To Clutch a Razor is not that hyped. Or maybe I'm delusional. It's hyped in this house. In this household, To Clutch a Razor is in this spot. I don't even want to look at Thief of Night anymore. Get it out of my face. All right. Now we're going to rapid fire go through the rest of the sections and see what we've got nominated. Because I don't really have any expectations for any of these because I'm not really sure. Oh, I guess I should have voted. Oh, no. I said I hadn't read any. Yeah, I haven't read any. Well, I read Thief of Night, but I'm not voting for Thief of Night. Fuck Thief of Night. All right, what do we have here? 3 Days in June by Ann Tyler. Frederick Bachman, My Friends, which is one that is on my TBR. I do want to read that. Dream Count by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. A Dream and a Thief. The Summer Storms. Let's see. Of the ones that let's talk about ones that I've heard instead of just maybe everything. I've heard of My Friends. I've heard of Dream Count. The Summer Storms. Heart Lover. That's Heart the Lover. That one was recent. I didn't realize that was by Lily King, but I just remember seeing this cover. 3 Lives of Kat K. I feel like that was a Book of the Month selection. The new Ellen Hildebrand. I've heard mixed things on that one. Wild Dark Shore I've heard is very good. I do want to read that as well as Emperor of Gladness because I do want to get into Ocean Vuong. Jojo Moyes. I didn't even know that came out this year. I would have bet money. That book came out so long ago. Lila Motley, The Girls Who Grew Big. That name sounds familiar. Do I know this author? What has she written? Is this the author of, Night Crawling? That's on my TBR as well. So I'll add that to my TBR. Don't know these. The names, I also got that through Book of the Month. Ooh, The Loneliness of Sonia and Sunny is one that I want to read as well. I added that to my TBR. And then I've heard good things about this one, Cursed Daughters. So some decent nominees. Honestly, like deadass, I really thought this Jojo Moyes came out literally years ago. My bad. Decent nominees though. Good options. Historical fiction. I know nothing about historical fiction. I rarely ever read it. So I don't know if this is going to be one that I'm really going to want to read anything from, but we'll see. All right. Let's see. What do I know? I've heard of this one. I mean, I've seen the cover. The Bright Years, another one that I've seen the cover of. Oh, I have read one. Oh my God, look at me. I read The Hounding. I read that earlier this year. I read that as a arc. I enjoyed it. That's a kind of, not a retelling, but a very much kind of retelling of both The Crucible and The Virgin Suicides. I did enjoy it. I haven't heard of these. I've seen this cover. This cover always catches my eye. I just think it's really pretty. Isola. I don't know. What Kind of Paris? I feel like I've seen that cover before. Broken Country, I've seen that one. I think this is on my TBR, or like my mental TBR. It's up there. Junie, this is one that I've heard about. I've heard good things about it, so I do kind of want to get that one. I feel like, where have I seen this cover? Every time I log into or open up my Barnes & Noble app, I see this cover on the front. Atmosphere, okay, that one's definitely winning. We know that. Atmosphere is winning. What is this, historical fiction? Yeah, Atmosphere is taking the one on that. The Book Club for Troublesome Women, I feel like I've heard of that one. Same with Homeseeking. Good Dirt, I've heard of that one. David Baldacci. My mom's a big David Baldacci girl. She likes his thrillers, though. I don't really think she likes historical fiction. That's not really her thing. So she might like this one. The Lilac People. I feel like I've heard of this one. Yeah, this is on my want to read. So I did see this one. What it's about? Don't know. But I have heard of it. But now that we're here, I'm going to vote for The Hounding because that's the only one I've read. Right? Yeah, it's the only one I've read. And I did enjoy it. I did give it 3 stars, but I enjoyed it well enough. All right. I didn't read anything in fiction. Mystery thriller. We've got, this makes sense. We bought Alice Feeney, Beautiful Ugly, King of Ashes, The Tenant by Freida McFadden, and Perfect Divorce by Geneva Rose. The only one on this list that I kind of want to read is King of Ashes. That was what I want to read. I unhauled all of my Alice Feeney recently. Freida McFadden, I also unhauled all of her books. And then The Perfect Divorce. The first one is, what is it, The Perfect Marriage? That has never piqued my interest, so I don't want to read it. Not Quite Dead Yet. I do want to read that. I think I have it out from Libby right now, actually. So that's what I want to read. I don't want to read. There's 2 Freida McFaddens on here. Okay. Reese Witherspoon and Harlan Coben. Since when is Reese Witherspoon writing books? Anyways, Gone Before Goodbye. Doesn't have great ratings. We Are All Guilty Here. Another one I want to read. I do really like Karen Slaughter. Dan Brown, The Secret of Secrets. My dad loves Dan Brown. He read the entirety of the Robert Langdon series. Is this part of that? Yeah, Robert Langdon #6. I wonder if he knows that's out. He might want to read that. So he really likes that series. He like loves it. I like the movies more than I like the books. I've read the first 4. I think I read up to, what is it? I don't know what the 4th one's called. But my favorite is Angels and Demons, and my favorite movie is Angel and Demons. I've watched it so many times. They said Forget Me Not. This is one I got in ARC for, and I DNF'd it. So we're definitely not voting for that. I guess I'm not voting for anything in this because I am interested in some, and the one that I attempted, I DNF'd. Heartwood, You Killed Me First. I haven't read 5 of these. A New Lease Jewel. Gillian McAllister. I've read one book from Miss Gillian McAllister, and I didn't like it. A third Frida McFadden. I refuse to believe that any 3 of these books is that good. Like, there's no way in hell. 3 Frida McFadden. You have 20 options. You cannot tell me there weren't enough thrillers that were released this year or popular enough thrillers released this year that you needed 3 Frida fucking McFaddens. 3.83, 3.93, 3.7. None of these even have very good scores. I'm annoyed. Anyways, we're moving on. John Grisham, The Widow. I think my mom likes John Grisham. Julie Clark, Ghostwriter. The Missing Half. Another Vera Wong. And then the Richard Osman book. What kind of absolute bullshit. Honestly, I'm rooting for everyone but Frida McFadden. Does that make me a hater? Maybe. But like 3 fucking Frida McFaddens? Are you kidding me? There's no way. 3. And I'm pretty sure these are the only 3 she released this year. Or maybe she released more. But there's absolutely no reason all 3 of these need to be in here. No. I'm calling bullshit. Bullshit. Like I said, I haven't read, the only one I even attempted, I DNF'd. You can already tell, I'm not great at reading new releases. It's just not my thing. I take forever to get to new releases. I literally never read them. Romance. I've probably read at least 2, maybe 2 in here. This is probably the one that I have the best chance of reading the most from. First Time Color Peak at Worth, and that is on my TBR. If it makes you happy, I want to see if I can get that today. I'm going to Barnes & Noble today, so I do want to get that. Story of My Lace. I've read one Lucy's, well, I haven't read it. I DNF'd the first book in the Knock 'Em Out series, and I've had zero desire to read from Lucy's Story again. I feel like her books are just way too long. They're so long for what? They're contemporary romances. I mean, I think technically the Knock 'Em Out series is like, it's contemporary, but it has like a dash of like romantic suspense. And that doesn't interest me at all. Great Big Beautiful Life. This is one that I have read. I didn't like it, unfortunately. I gave it, 2.75, I think. Why is it not showing that I read it? Whatever. I read this one. Yeah, and I gave it like a 2.75, 2.5. It's not my favorite. I didn't love it. But if I have to vote, that's probably the one I vote for. Ooh, is Mate by Allie Hazelwood gonna be? Because I read that and I loved it. I hope that wins. Let's see what's next. The Favorites by Lane Fargo. I'm going on the other side now. I didn't realize that was a romance. I don't know. For some reason, I thought that was going to be like fiction or historical fiction. That's one I want to read. I got the 3 book of the month, so I do have that. Rewind It Back. I also own that. That's another one I want to read. I haven't finished Mile High, which is the first book in that series, so I haven't gotten to it. Spiral. I actually didn't realize that came out this year. I might want to get to that, but I'll put that on my TBR. I'll put that on my radar. Problematic Summer Romance, another one on my TBR. She's on my radar. I started Not in Love, which is like the first book in this kind of series duology. I don't know if it's going to be more than 2. So, interested to get to that. Next up, Can't Get Enough by Miss Kennedy Ryan. We'd love to see Kennedy Ryan in there. Still haven't read the series. I need to. I know so many people love it, and I really need to get to it. Love Arranged by Lauren Asher. I didn't even realize this came out. I still haven't read the first book of the series. I started it. I own it. Haven't finished it. Big Bar of Steel. This is the only one in this series I haven't read. I've read the first 2. I definitely want to get to that. Till Summer Do Us Part. I don't know if I am going to be a Megan Quinn girly. I don't know. Her stuff sounds interesting, but I have yet to get to any of them. This is another one where I feel like her books are also kind of long. But I've heard that her books are like really funny. They are like rom-coms, and I love a good rom-com, so I might get to it. Then we have King of the Enemy by Miss Hannah Huang. I read the first book in the series. I think I gave it 4 stars. It's definitely more of 3 star. I feel like it was fine, but I've had zero interest in really continuing on. Like, nothing's really been pulling me in to read it. So I am probably never going to continue on with that. The Gingerbread Bakery. Another one where I read was The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. It was fine. I started the second book and I never finished it. I'm pretty sure I got like 70% of the way through and I just never finished that audiobook, and I've had zero desire to pick it up since. Scythe and Sparrow, another one. I read whatever the hell that first book is. I started the second book and then I DNF'd it. Wow. we have a running tally here. Deep End, still haven't read it yet. I want to get to it, and I feel like I'm really gonna like this one. But no mate, no mate. Heartbreaking. Maybe would it be romantasy? Is that considered romantasy? I don't think so, because it's paranormal, which I mean is a subgenre of fantasy. Maybe. Anyways, Wild Side by Elsie Silver. Haven't read this series yet. I've only read the first 2 books in the whatever the brothers one is. That other one. That's like, I think it's like kind of like prequel series. There's One Golden Summer. I've never read anything from Miss Carly Fortune, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately, but her first book, Every Summer After, people talk about that as a cheating trope in it, and then I looked up spoilers for like what exactly the cheating was, and that whole thing sounded like it would just piss me off and irritate me. So I've literally never read anything from her, especially because I think her second book that came out, again, people were saying it has the cheating trope again. No, thank you. I'm good, Miss Carly. But maybe I'll read this. I know a lot of people have said that they love this. So if I look up the synopsis, I am going to look up reviews. If that also has a cheating trope, I will not be reading it at all. And then Say You'll Remember Me by Miss Abby Jimenez. Still have not read this. This one has gotten some very poor reviews. So a lot of people say they don't like it. And I feel like, because I want to read just for the summer first, but I do really feel like if I read Say You'll Remember Me, this will be my like confirmation that I don't like Abby Jimenez, because I'm sorry, but like Yours Truly and The Friend Zone were quite literally some of the worst books I've ever read. Hated them both, even though I really loved Part of Your World. And so I've only liked one single Abby Jimenez I've read. I mean, I've read some of her short stories and those were fine, but like those weren't enough for me to be like, oh yeah, I'm pulled back in. I want to keep going. And then Taurus series by Bryn Weaver, another one I haven't read. So same thing. Like I read her first book and I enjoyed it and I thought it was fine. It's just I haven't really been pulled to want to continue and read something else. I just haven't. So did I say I read something in this? Have I read anything in this? Yeah, Great Big Beautiful Life is the only one I've read, and I didn't like it. I'll still vote for it because I like Emily Henry. I love her. But I didn't particularly love this release. And even though, here's the thing, even though I hated Thief of Night, so I refuse to vote for it. I don't hate Great Big Beautiful Life that much. I feel like enjoyed the story overall. I just feel like the execution was very poor and very lacking. So it made kind of the whole story feel kind of lackluster. You know? Next up we have Romantasy. All right, Accomplice to the Villain. I was never going to read that. I DNF'd that first book, so I'm probably never going to read the series. The Songbird and The Heart of Stone. I feel like I do still want to read this series, but will it happen anytime soon? Probably not. Alchemized. I'm never going to read that. I've never had any interest in reading it when it was manacled. I don't have any interest to read it now that it's alchemized, so it's just never been on my TBR. Silver Lead, I do own, never reading it. I thought maybe I could get into dystopia. I'm not a big dystopia person, and at the time that I got this through Book of the Month, I was trying to reread. I was planning to finally finish Catching Fire because I never finished that series. I only read the first book in the Hunger Games series. I never continued on. And I was like, I'm finally going to continue on. Finally going to finish up the series because the Hey Mitch book was coming out. So I was like, let me finally catch up and see what it's all about. And I was in kind of the dystopia mood finally for once for that one specific thing I've now realized, because this just doesn't interest me. And literally the second I hit check out a book of the month to get this, that's when all the bad reviews started coming in for this. So like I'm probably not going to read that. That's going to be unhauled quite quickly. Immortal by Sue Lynn Tan. That is one that I want to read. I had that checked out from Libby and I just never got around to it. Our Vicious Oath by Annie Davenport. Another one I really want to read. I think this is what, Black Vampires? Or it's Black. It's Black. I know that. So I want to read that. Bonds of Hercules by Jasmine Moss. Hell fucking no. I'm never reading this. I read the first book in the series. Ass. I hated it so much. It was so bad. And here's the thing. I wrote in my review, was this book ass? Yes. Am I still going to read the second book? Yes. But that was until I found out, which feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but there were many people saying that it's a why choose, because there's two guys and two guys. She chooses between the two guys. Like they don't all end up four guys and her. She chooses between them. And I'm like, no, the point of me reading the why choose is that she doesn't motherfucking choose. I don't give a fuck that she still ends up with multiple. She's not supposed to choose. So I already did not like the book, like the writing, so awful. The jokes, terrible. Everything about it. But I was willing to put past it because I was like, okay, let's see what happens and see how the romance progresses and see how these two groups come together. But it doesn't. She fucking picks. Anyways, The Wrath of the Fallen, that's what, the fourth book in the Gods and Monsters series. I still haven't started this. I want to. I still have like the indie edition of this first book. So I want to get to it. It's just, I don't know. I feel like I want it all to be published before I start. And I never used to be that kind of person where I'm like, where I'm usually totally cool with starting a book series that like isn't fully published. But for this one, for some reason, I'm like, I want all the books to be out because I think it's supposed to be like 7, and we're only on book 4. And I'm like, I just don't feel like I can handle a cliffhanger in this series. I need it all to be out before I'm willing to start, before I'm willing to commit. I can't. Granted, with the way I read, I could probably start the book now, and by the time I even got caught up, like the next 3 books would already be out. I know me. I am not a series binger. I would never make it. Next step, Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales. This is one that I was like, maybe could be in fantasy, but it's in romantasy, which I guess makes sense because like there is a romance in it. Rebecca Lost Wild Reverence. I knew that would be there for sure. Mate by Ellie Hazelwood. This is definitely the only one I've read in this, so we knew it's going to be here. That's what I'm voting for because I loved Mate. It was so good. 5 stars. I do have a vlog of me reading this. 10 out of 10. Direbound. That's what I want to read. I've heard good things about. Actually, I've heard mixed things about it. A lot of people say like it's got a 4.34 rating, so like clearly it's very good. I feel like I'm talking really, really fast. I saw someone wrote that like they thought their speed was on 2 times because of how fast I was talking, and now that I'm like I'm just jumping around each book. I'm like, duh, duh, duh. I can hear myself talking really fast. My bad. Is it gonna stop? Probably not. This is just how I talk. But Diabound is one that I want to read. Who knows? Maybe I'll pick that up at Barnes & Noble today. The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy and Rose and Chains. So all of the Hermione books are in here. We knew they would be. Shield of Sparrows. This is one, again, I feel like I heard good things when it was coming out, and then when it was out, more people read it. Then I started hearing some mixed things. So I don't know if I want to read this, especially because it's like very long. So I don't know how I feel about that. Enchantress, second book after what, Phantasma? Still haven't read Phantasma. Want to on the TBR. I don't think I mentioned the Hermione ones. I'm probably not gonna read. I've never been into Hermione, so I really don't have any interest in reading it. Onyx Storm, we knew that was gonna be here. I'm surprised it's all the way down here at the bottom. That one's probably winning. I did read this one earlier this year. I'm still voting mate. Onyx Storm. Actually, who knows? Onyx Storm might not win. If it was any other year, I'd be like, yeah, Onyx Storm is taking the cake. But I feel like a lot of the Hermione ones, especially like Alchemized, very popular. Allie Hazelwood, very popular. So I feel like it's got some competition. The Amber Nicole one, very popular. Which is Guide to Magical Inking. I read the first book in this series, or I don't even think it's a series. I guess it's just companion, maybe. I unhauled it. It was fine. I gave it 3 stars. On Wings of Blood. This is on my TBR. I might read it. I might not. I've seen the cover and I've always been like, oh, I kind of want to read it, but we'll see. The Night and the Moth, also on my TBR. I want to read that. I don't know if I want to read that before I read the Shepherd King duology, but I definitely want to get to this one. All right, we're voting. We're voting for mate. You knew it. It was happening. How many have I voted for? 3? Go me. We went through fantasy. I'm not voting for fantasy. We've already established that. Now sci-fi. All right, first up, Hamajong Luck. I feel like I've heard of that one. 3.6. Doesn't have great ratings, but that doesn't mean much. Disillusion by Nicholas Binge. I don't know why I thought this was an old book. I feel like the cover just kind of makes it look kind of dated. The Shattering Peace by John Scalzi. Oh, we got 2 by John Scalzi. When the Moon Hits Your Eye. I feel like, did this one come out this year? I feel like I've seen that cover much longer, but I don't know. 2 John Scalzi's. Death of the Author by Nadia Okorafor. Good options. Dream Hotel. The Poppy Fields. I mean, I've heard of this, of Humdog Luck. I've heard of Death of the Author, and I've heard of The Poppy Fields. Members of Why. I haven't heard of any of these. Book of Lost Hours. Automatic Noodle. I did read that one. We have something to vote for. I did enjoy that one. That's about a bunch of robots that start a noodle shop. Salt Crop. I've never heard of this one, but I love this cover. From acclaimed author of The Stardust Grail. I also haven't heard of that one. The Compound. I have heard of that one. This one honestly does not pique my 3.58. Damn. It's a low score. Hasn't piqued my interest. It's about like, I think it says it's kind of like, was it Lord of the Flies means like reality TV. I don't really feel like that's going to be my jam, but who knows? If I've heard good things about it, maybe I'll give it a shot. Of Monsters and Mainframes, I've heard of this one. I haven't really piqued my interest to read it. And then The Merge, another Andrei Tchaikovsky. I didn't even know that came out this year. And then 2 of these books. One of my mutuals is reading this book. Know nothing about it, but yeah, honestly, I knew this was going to come. I don't read much sci-fi. Even though I love fantasy, I'm not that big of a sci-fi reader. But we're going to vote for Automatic Noodle because that's what I read. And I really enjoyed that one. I thought it was really cute. If you haven't read it yet, it's a novella, so it's like a pretty short read. The audiobook was like 5 hours. So if you're interested, give it a shot. Horror. I don't think I've read a single new release horror this year. The chances of me reading any of these, The Bewitching. What? I thought this was a fantasy. I'm not gonna. I feel like just the cover made me think this was gonna be a fantasy by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, which is, I shouldn't have thought that because she is a horror writer. You weren't meant to be here. I asked for this on NetGalley and I got declined, so I still haven't read it. But it did sound interesting. And I've heard good reviews for people saying that it's like kind of disturbing, and I didn't get that. So that's on my TBR. Coffee Moon is also on my TBR. See, The Lamb, Blood on Her Tongue is on my TBR. I have that out from, I got that through Libro, through their ALC as well. Bat Eater and Other Words for Corazon. I have this checked out through Kindle Unlimited. If you don't know who's on Kindle Unlimited, I do want to read that, and I've heard good things about it. Immaculate Conception, Ling Ling Huang. I want to read, I can't remember the first book is called, but there's another book by this author that I really want to read. Play Nice. That's what I want to read too. One of my mutuals on TikTok said that this book like actually made them scared when they were reading it. So obviously I want to give that a shot. When the Wolf Comes Home on my TBR. Breathe In, Breathe Out. Remember that one. We Love You, Bunny. Bunny's on my TBR, so this one might be on my TBR if I like it. Never Flinch by Stephen King. I think this is a collection of short stories, which I'm not a big short story person, so not my thing. Buffalo Hunter on my TBR. We already know I love Stephen Graham Jones. If I had read this, I started this, I never finished it, so like I can't say I read it, but like if I had read it, that's what I would vote for. I love Stephen Graham Jones. Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. I do like Grady Hendrix. I've read 2 of his books so far. I haven't read this one yet, but I've heard good things about this one, so definitely keep my eye on that. The Possession of Alba Diaz, also on my TBR. Haunting of Pain Hollow. I could have sworn this book was already released. I've seen this cover before. Maybe I'm thinking of something else, but like I could have sworn this book was already out. Hungerstone. I've seen this painting. I don't remember if I've seen this cover. And then Chuck Tingle, Lucky Day. Honestly, solid choices. Again, I haven't read any of these, so I'm not going to pick. Next up, we have debut novel. Let's see. Oh, Lilac People already says on my TBR. The Merge. What was that? Was that under Sci-Fi or was that under fiction? I don't remember. Finding Grace is on my TBR. I got that one through Book of the Month. The Eights, Dominion. Haven't heard of these. Loved One is on my TBR. I've heard a lot of people talk about it, so I definitely want to give it a shot. Alchemized Warriors, again, haven't heard of these. I guess the only one I've read on this list is The Irish Goodbye, and I didn't love The Irish Goodbye. I gave it 3 stars. So I don't know if I want to vote for that one. When the Tide Held the Moon. I do want to read that. Junie and The Names. I think I'm not going to vote because I really did not particularly love The Irish Goodbye. It wasn't bad. It's just these characters grating, especially one of them. All right, on here for reader's favorite audiobook. Sister Wife. Oh, that's one of the Sister Wives? Definitely never heard of that. Probably not gonna read it. I've never watched that show, so I have no reason to. The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. I have zero interest in reading that, and clearly it's an Audible exclusive, and I don't have Audible anymore, so not gonna be reading that. Broken Country. I'd read that on audio. Atmosphere. I'd check that out. Nobody Girl. I'd done with that. Pride and Prejudice. Oh, we've got a new Pride and Prejudice coming out. Maybe I might try that one out. I might try giving that one a listen. Correspondence. Alchemized. The Sorcerer's Stone. Okay. Onyx Storm. My Friends. Could Be Beautiful Life. We're All Here. The Devils. 107 Days by Kamala Harris. King of Ashes. I bet that one's good because the audiobook narrator, I think he has the same audiobook narrator for all of his books. So if it has the same one from Razor Blade Tears, he was very good. So I know a lot of people tend to like his narration. Awake, Tina Cole, Knowles, my bad. Taurus Season. All right. The only one I've read was Great Big Beautiful Life, correct? Yes. But I didn't listen on audio, so I can't really say whether or not the audiobook was good. So we're going to skip over that one. Young adult fantasy and sci-fi. I probably have read none of these, if I'm being honest. I don't read a lot of YA. Hecate. Oh, I probably should read that because I don't know if you've seen, I have a half sleeve on my upper arm, and the goddess that's on the top of my arm is Hecate. So I'd be willing to give this one a shot. I'd put that on my want to read list. Let's add it. Want to read. Rebel Witch, second book in this series. Haven't read it. Oathbound. I read the first book in this series this year. Watch Me by Tara Moffi. I used to own the entirety of the Shatter Me series. This is the new book that came out. But the more she releases, the less I want to read it because I'm being so honest. Even when there was only 6 out, I had a feeling that like realistically I was only gonna like really like the first 3. But the more she keeps adding, same with like Percy Jackson series. The more you keep adding, the less I want to read. Stop continuing on with shit. Like you've already ended it. In fact, I'm pretty sure Shatter Me, it was the first 3, and then they ended it, and then she was like, no, let's bring it back. So then they made it 6 books, and nobody likes those 6 books. And now we're making more. I don't foresee this being something I'm gonna enjoy. Let's see. Haven't heard of these. The Floating World. I did get this at the Las Vegas Book Fest that I went to last month. So this is on my TBR. I do own it. I have the second book as well. Immortal Consequences. I got this one through Book of the Month, so definitely want to read. Summer's on the Reaping. That one's probably winning. Like, has to. What are the chances Suzanne Collins doesn't win? You know? Fearless. I don't think that one's going to win. I don't feel like a lot of people like that. And then Heavenly Tyrant. I don't feel like a lot of people like that either when it came out. But they're like tangentially on my TBR because I own the first books in both of these series. Whether or not I'm going to continue on to read these, we'll see. But I do have the first books on my TBR. The Rose Bargain, that doesn't interest me. No. House Sphere. For some reason, I thought this was a part of that series. Was it the artist of prophecy, the art of prophecy? Just because I feel like the covers are kind of similar, but the cover has pulled me in, and that's literally kind of the reason I want to read it. I'm like, it's pretty and I like it. So this one might be on my TBR. Our Infinite Fates. This one, not on my 3.67. You know that's bad. Not on my TBR. I didn't really have any interest in reading it when it was being advertised, and now that it's out and like seems like so many people don't like it, it's even less interested. Every Spiral of Fate, another Tahar Mafi. This is a series I kind of want to read. This is one though I feel like I heard this got extended. Like it was supposed to be a trilogy, and now it's 4 books, and I think it's going to be another book. So I may or may not read this series. I own the first book, but Tahar Mafi is pushing it, which he keeps expanding these goddamn series when clearly they don't need to be. And last up, Breath of the Dragon by Fonda Lee and Shannon Lee. I do own this book, and I do want to read it. I'm excited to get to it. So next up, young adult fiction. I need to get through this a bit faster. I own the first book in this series. Still haven't read it. I haven't read anything from this author. I still haven't read anything from Tiffany Jackson. I've heard good things about it. I've heard a lot of people say that like the book like irritates them, and like sometimes I gotta be in the mood for a book that's gonna piss me off. You know, it can't always work out, but we'll see. We Fell Apart. I read the first book in the series, enjoyed it. I don't think I really have any intentions of continuing on with this. This was not have good ratings. Granted, I don't think whatever We Were Liars has good ratings either. Sophie Gonzalez, not one that I knew about. I DNF'd the first book in this series. I did not like it at all, so the chances of me reading this are very low. The Survivor Wants to Die at the end. I still haven't read the other books in this series, so probably not going to read this one. I haven't heard of this one. Glorious Rivals. I gave up on the Inheritance Game series. I read the first 2 books in the series, and they were fine. I did really enjoy her Natural series, though. I haven't heard of these others, too. I've heard of Thrashers, but this is not one that really interested me. No, and They Were Roommates. That's on my TBR. I do want to read that. Audrey and Bash Are Just Friends. That is on my TBR. I've read 7 Days of June by Tia Williams, and this follows her daughter. So very interested in this. And then I do also own Under the Same Stars, which another one that I kind of have to be in the mood for because I'm pretty sure 1940s Germany. We'll see how I feel about that. But yeah, I haven't read anything in here, so we're going to continue on to nonfiction. I can bet. Oh, I actually have read something in here. I was going to say I haven't read anything, but I have. I've read Everything is Tuberculosis, so I'm probably voting for that. But like, let's look through the rest and see. But to be honest, I really don't think I know anything. Nonfiction is not something that I like super keep up with and like try to be in the know of like what's new. But Everything is Tuberculosis I've read. I haven't read anything of this, but I have heard of the Let Them theory, but I have no plans on reading that. One Day Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This. I do plan on reading. That's on the TBR. Do I have it on my? Yeah, let me add it here. As my TBR. Haven't heard of any of these. Haven't heard of any of these. All right, so we're voting for Everything is Tuberculosis by Mr. John Green. This is very good. I enjoyed it. Oh wait, I got mixed up. I have not read Everything is Tuberculosis. I read what is it? The other one, the Anthropocene Reviewed. I meant to read Everything is Tuberculosis. I was getting confused. I was like, oh, this is like a bunch of little essays about different things, but that's not what this is about. Okay, I have not read Everything is Tuberculosis. Clear my vote. I gotta clear it. I gotta wash my hands. I didn't read this. My bad. I got confused. So no, I haven't read anything in nonfiction, but 2 of them are on my TBR. Memoirs. Another one that I probably haven't read anything in because again, I'm not big into, like I don't really keep track of memoirs. Awake. I like this cover. That's really the only thing that's like pulling me in. I'm like, I like the cover, so I want to read it. I haven't heard of these. Oh, Tim Curry has a memoir. That came out. This came out posthumously, right? I feel like he died recently. Let's see. The House of My Mother is one that I did want to read, so I probably want to read that. That's on my TBR. Semi Well Adjusted. I don't know if I want to read that. I did watch Alison Stoner growing up, but I don't know if I'm interested in her memoir. Jeremy Renner, not interested in his memoir. Cher, not really. Malala. Oh, Malala has another memoir coming out. I haven't read her first one. Maybe I should, but we'll see. Elizabeth Gilbert, I'm pretty sure that's a lady that like tried to kill her girlfriend. No, thank you. That's the Eat, Pray, Love lady. 107 Days by Kamala Harris. That's probably the one that like I most likely to read off of this. Well, this one and The House of My Mother, but I haven't read any of them. So our last one, History and Biography, another one I definitely haven't read anything from. But we'll rapid fire through these. We'll just scroll on down so everyone can see what's in it. I already know I've read nothing. But let's see, is anything interesting me? Baldwin. Oh yeah, I read Baldwin. I'm currently reading Giovanni's Room, but I feel like I'd read a book about his life. So that's everything, I think. Yep. And we've done our votes. We have done it, guys. Okay, so opening rounds are until the 23rd, and then final rounds November 25th to the 30th, and then winners are announced December 4th. So I do have a bit of time if I want to try and read a bit more to get in things before they get cast and before winners are announced. So we'll see how well I do on that. Overall, the nominees could have been better, especially in thriller. 3 Frida McFadden's. 3 Frida McFadden's? You gotta be kidding me. That's actually insane, criminal, and I can't imagine. But Thief of Night in fantasy, also criminal. Crimes, crimes, crimes. We are committing crimes. But overall, I think the nominees were fine. Like I said, these were definitely just who was popular, what sold the most. These are not gonna be like the best or the highest rated overall. As you can see, like some of these literally have like a 3.58 rating, which is like just making the cutoff. So I'm not surprised with what got nominated really at all. I'm not surprised that's not diverse either at all either. Like it never has been, and I feel like that's just kind of it's Goodreads, that's Amazon, that's publishing as a whole. So it sucks, and we could definitely do better. But it is what it is. That's everything that has been nominated for Goodreads. Some of them I'm like, yay. Some of them clearly I have a lot of disdain for, but that's everything. I was decently close. I got more than 50% on my guess for fantasy, so I'm happy with that. I feel like that's kind of what I wanted. I feel like I wanted to get at least 50. So I hit my goal. That's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed going through these with me. If you feel as robbed about Clutch a Razor as I do, please let me know because that was bullshit. Also, Frida McFadden getting nominated 3 separate times, also bullshit. But let me know how you feel about the nominees in the comments. Please like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.